today we are doing a little podcast format. And we are three people with very mixed experiences in years and in what we're doing. Mm-hmm. We have Ted here that has been a tattoo artist for 5 years, traveling tattoo artist you can call it. And then we have Florian that's been 15 years in industry, and I've been doing marketing for tattoo artists and tattoo studios for 2 years. And you, Ted, you've been traveling a lot lately.
Yeah.
Can you just tell us a little bit about that? Like, how has your experiences been? How has the studios been? Like, how has it been meeting with different artists and stuff like that?
Yeah, I think ever since I started tattooing, I've always wanted to do the travel part. You know, going to new studios, meeting new people, just gaining different experiences. Not only as a tattoo artist, but just the studio, see how other studios operate and all that kind of stuff. And I feel like I've gained so much, not only in the tattoo aspect, just how to become a better artist and that type of stuff, but also to just get new perspectives on mindsets and in the tattoo industry and in the tattoo world, because I feel like it's so different from country to country. I can imagine for you, Florian, like being in Switzerland, it's completely different from being in Sweden, like the mindset and
what I see so far, yes.
Yeah. I can imagine.
Yeah, I think it's different everywhere you go. I experience it more like I have worked together with a lot of different artists from all around the world, so everybody who is coming has a completely different vibe they're bringing. They're most of the time very good, and I love to have all these different fragments of their culture that they bring within and of how they work and what they like, what they don't like, how they tattoo into the studios I'm working with. So it's always a great experience. But it takes some years to get ready to travel that far and a lot.
Definitely.
How much it took for you?
When
did you start traveling?
Yeah, I started last year, so it's been over a year now traveling. So I've been to so many different countries. I've been to Germany, the Netherlands. I've been to different studios in Sweden and Italy, Milano, and I've been all over Europe. But I have so many more places that I want to go and just experience different cultures and all that type of stuff. But I feel like it's hard in the beginning because you don't know where to start or how to market yourself and that type of stuff. But thankfully, I had you guys helping me with all that kind of stuff. So I feel like that was a huge push for me as well to actually go out there and do the traveling and that kind of stuff.
Yeah. What would you say, like, now that you've been to so many different places, like, what's the different perspectives, or how is it different from country to country? What do you say?
I feel like definitely in Germany, like the work culture there is so different. I feel like there they work for like 12, 13, 14 hours. That's like a normal standard for some people there. And back in Sweden, that was like so uncommon. But when I arrived at the studio in Hamburg, that was my first guest spot. And I remember, like, because I used to be like the only, like the last person leaving the studio because I used to work so late. But in Hamburg, like everybody was working late. I was like, damn, it's such a different approach to tattooing. Because there they set aside like a full day of tattooing. Like the client arrived, they do the designing and tattooing, and that's 12, 13 hours. So they set aside like a full day. And to me, that was like so eye-opening that you can do that, like that amount of commitment to a client. I was like, whoa, like, is that possible to do that? Because back in Sweden, you used to work like maybe 5, 6, 7 hours max. That was like the maximum amount of time for a day. So I feel like that was truly like one of the most eye-opening things. That I was like, whoa, is this possible? Like, and I love that dedication in the tattoo aspect, that you dedicate like a full day to a client. I really love that.
Yeah, I think it's good to see those things because it kind of resets your standards.
Definitely, yeah.
And then I think that's good in whatever you're doing, that it resets your standard in different things. And especially when you see it in other countries and stuff like that, it's super good.
Yeah, because I feel like you bring back certain things from each guest spot or each travel from different countries. So then you can bring it back to your own studio. You can set a new standard in the studio. I feel like that's the best way to grow as an artist and as a studio manager or a studio owner or anything like that. So I would highly recommend anyone doing guest spots and traveling. It's like I feel like that's the thing that's pushed me the most in my tattoo career, definitely.
You said you would recommend travel to everybody.
Yeah.
I think it's a great thing to do, but not like Ted said before that you guys help him market in different countries. So maybe it's also interesting to understand like what is the way to go for you when it comes to marketing for artists either in their country or in a different country.
Yeah.
What is the best way that you found?
I think that if you're going traveling and you're doing marketing, I think it's really important that you have a good social media presence from before. Mm-hmm. And I think that's something that you should have a big up on, because your Instagram looks very clean, your Facebook is very clean, like everything looks very good, because especially when you're coming to a new country, you have to have some sort of proof of what you're doing is good, because you're not familiar with the language and stuff like that. But when we have done the marketing, for example, we have tried both with offers and without offers, and I'm not entirely sure about what you feel has been the best experience, but I feel like without offers has almost been a little bit better, like the people are more committed.
Yeah.
But I think it's very interesting when it comes to marketing like that, because I think that if you can't make marketing work with offers, you won't make it work without offers. But you are very good at talking to people, it's the same with you and the artists that you are managing, and when you're getting in touch with a client, like a marketing and having an offer could be a very easy sales process on getting them into the studio, but it's not necessary if you're good at talking to people, because then you sell in yourself in another way. Mm-hmm. And I think that's something that you guys are doing very good, and then you don't really need the offer. So that's my experience that I've had of it. And I think that now that we've been doing the marketing for so long, like you understand how to talk to clients, how to mail them, how to do video calls, the consultations. So then the offer is not really necessary. They don't need that extra push because they're already sold on you.
Exactly, yeah.
But how do you reach the people?
So now when we have been doing the guests or marketing, we've been doing all of the ads in Ads Manager on Facebook and on Instagram. And that's very different, because I know a lot of artists are doing boosted posts and stuff like that, and it's so not as efficient as doing it in Ads Manager, because doing boosted posts is a very easy way to just kind of throw money in the sea, because you can't really do any targeting and the AI doesn't really know what works. Exactly. And the good part now is that you started to get a hold of how to do the ads yourself in Ads Manager and stuff like that, and you've been doing it for your girlfriend that is apprentice, and doing those type of ads, like it's very hard in the beginning.
Definitely.
But once you get a hold of it, it's probably one of the most efficient skills in whatever business you're into.
Yeah.
Because that means you can always market yourself in a way to get clients to contact you and see you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Exactly, yeah. I feel like I've done it so many times, done boosted posts on Instagram, Facebook, whatever. It feels like you're just throwing the money away. You gain nothing, no clients, no more followers, no likes. It's like, what am I doing wrong? But then when I got in contact with you, we started doing the guest spots, the marketing for those, and as you said, I started gaining more perspective on it and more knowledge around the marketing aspect. So, like you said, now I can do it myself and all that kind of stuff. So it's truly been helping me, not only for guest spots, but also for my residency here in Sweden as well. So you can just apply that marketing strategy on everything, like you said, the whole aspect.
And I think what's good about that type of marketing as well, when you're doing it in Ads Manager instead of boosted posts, is that when you're doing boosted posts, you can't see how much you gain from it. Like there is no way you can track what you actually get out of it, like the return on investment. Okay, you can see clicks, you can see likes, you can see followers, but can you see what actual customers are coming from it? And I think that's probably the most powerful way when it comes to doing in the Ads Manager. So it shows on both Facebook and Instagram that way, because that means that you can always track how much you invest and how much you get back, so you can always see that it becomes profitable. And then there is no emotional attachment to it, there is no emotional decisions, but everything is in the numbers, and numbers don't really lie. So I think that's one of the big takeaways for everyone that's doing not only tattooers and tattoo studios, but like any business in general. You have to know your numbers, because otherwise everything becomes like a roller coaster in your mind. You don't really know what you get, you don't really know what you invest, stuff like that.
I feel like that is one thing that was so uncommon like 5 to 6 years ago as a tattoo artist. You just posted on social media, you did your stuff, and then you got clients. But nowadays it's like so hard. It's like fully saturated with clients. I feel like just the economy overall is like generally bad in the whole world. So I feel like now it's just I feel like artists nowadays are like fully realizing like, oh shit, I have to do the marketing aspect as well, because it's not just about the tattoo, it's about the experience, the client retention, it's about managing clients as well and do the full package, you know?
Yeah.
So I feel like a lot of artists are now like coming into the sense of, oh shit, I have to do marketing as well. And then you need to know what you're doing, because otherwise you're just throwing the money away. So it's like...
Yeah. And I think the fun part about marketing for tattoo artists and tattoo studios in general is that it can become profitable very fast.
Yeah.
But from what I've seen after, now I've been doing like hundreds of campaigns and we spent millions on ads and stuff like that. Like it works for everyone, but it works even better and becomes even more profitable if you have a good social media. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Like it's so important, and I don't think people really realize how worth that time is to actually put in to get like a better Instagram with higher quality, be more personal, show your face, actually maybe hiring someone to come and film content for a day or stuff like that. Yeah. Because before it could be like there were a limited amount of artists, so if you wanted to do like there were maybe 10 people that you can get a tattoo from, but now there is maybe 1,000 people, but maybe you only aligned with one of them, with their values and how they are. But if you don't show yourself on your social media, how can they know how you are as a person?
Exactly, yeah.
Because you speak a lot about branding, like what are your thoughts on social media and branding and stuff like that?
I think it's a little bit what Ted said before. Let's say 10 years ago, it was like you do a post or like one story post and it's like, hey, I have my bookings open, and people started to text you. They were like waiting for that, right?
So easy.
It was easier, let's say like that, than today. If you want to say it a little bit harsh, it's like tattoos got boring in a way of they got mainstream, and it's way more common to be tattooed than to get tattooed like 10 years ago. And this excitement that was around tattoos like 10 years ago is not that big anymore. So as you said, you have way more artists, you have a way higher supply, let's say like that, on the market, and so it's harder to stand out the crowd. And people not only go for the tattoo anymore, they go for the whole experience. They want that everything around the service, the studio, how they are treated in the studio, what they experience in the studio, how the artist is with them, and what the vibe is with the artist. This is all part of it. And then when it comes to branding, this is very important to show, because if you have artists that are just showing tattoos, it's very hard for the client to connect with him. So then if you show more of yourself or what you're offering in a service or in an appointment, it's way more easy for clients to understand what they are going for. Because also how people buy things have changed, let's say, in the last 10 years. I'm in the industry for 15 years. I started 2010, and I remember then quality was still a USP, right? So you were there and you're like, yeah, we do high quality tattoos. But this was like, okay, not every studio does really good tattoos, but now today you have so many good artists, so like quality becomes a standard, exactly, right? Yeah. So most people buy, in my experience, most people buy value. So when you can share the values you go for as an artist or as a company, a studio, whatever, people can connect better.
Exactly. Yeah.
And they rather support something that shares, or someone that shares the same value as they do in life, than somebody who does not.
Yeah, I think I've seen that the last couple of months, because I've been really focusing on social branding, reels, marketing, all that kind of stuff, especially in the last couple of months. And I've definitely seen like people, they want to connect more with me as a person. And I've truly seen like in higher engagement in my socials, and people that wanted to book with me and all that kind of stuff. So I feel like everything just ties in together. Like you said, like good tattoos are like a standard now. Like that's how it is nowadays. So people want to give or want to see the who you are as a person. Because I think just people set their standards way higher now with tattoos as well, with the experience of the studio and everything. So everything just ties in together.
You spoke a lot about value. Like what would you say would bring the most amount of value to a customer now?
The value that I meant before is what do you stand for, or what values are important for you as an artist,
Okay.
or as a company. It can be very simple things. As a very basic example, there are companies or studios that they go for like, hey, we're gonna give 5% of everything that we do, of the whole turnover, we're gonna spend for some animal shelters or something like that. So if your value is that you want to help animals, you rather go to a studio that supports your cause as well than to a studio that doesn't.
Yeah.
Right. So there are so many different values you can go after,
Yeah.
and that you can work for, that people can connect with. I think the other way around, what value you have to provide for a client to be successful is a different topic, because the value that you have to provide is more an emotional value.
Yes.
So as like we fix this now that the quality is out of like quality standard, right?
Yeah.
So everything around has to be way higher valued when it comes to the experience with an artist or with a studio. And the whole thing, tattoos are not really they are an emotional decision. It's an emotional sale. It's all just emotion. There is no rational value in a tattoo. You can't sell it. You can't forward it. You can resell it. It's just like you do something that is just for you. And it's a memory that you take with you, the whole experience. I mean, I have a lot of tattoos on my body. I remember every session. I remember every artist. I remember every time how the vibe was. I remember how I felt afterwards. So I think this is even more important than the tattoo itself, right? Because I have the experience with clients as well, that they come like, yeah, the artist is amazing, but I don't want to get tattooed by him anymore because I just don't feel comfortable around him, right? Yeah. And the other way around as well, it's like, yeah, the tattoo is good. It could be better, but the guy was amazing. I felt so good there. I just want to go there again to be with this person.
Yeah,
exactly. They connect more with the person than the tattoo itself. That's the thing. I think that's also one thing that our studio in Sweden, in Helsingborg, that we have talked about so much, like being friendly, open to the clients, and making them feel at home and comfortable. I think that is such a huge aspect of the whole experience of the tattoo session. Because it's like you said, I've had multiple sessions with different artists, super good artists, but they were assholes. They were douchebags, and I would never go back to them again. So. It's like you said, you remember everything that happened during that session. So, and I think that's something that a lot of tattooers kind of forget. They just think about, I'm going to do a well designed and technically good tattoo, but it's the whole package. I think
it's what you said. Do you remember your first tattoo?
Yeah, I do, and it's covered.
Do you remember how you felt going to the tattoo studio?
Super nervous. Like especially the first time, I had no idea what I was jumping myself into. I was 17 also, so I was like underage. And the guy, he was like super off and everything. But yeah, he did a decent job. But I never went to him again, you know. And mostly due to because he wasn't as open. Because I feel like because this was like maybe 7 or 8 years ago, something like that, or maybe even more. But I remember because he wasn't as open with me, and he didn't think anything about it being my first tattoo or asking me like how are you doing or anything like that. We just jumped in the studio. He was like, oh, you want to get these Roman letters? I was like, yeah, we did that. That was it. I paid.
And you left.
And I left. And I was like. Yeah.
I think there is always a huge gap between, or there is a risk of a huge gap between the artist and the client, especially when you have somebody walk into your shop and who wants to do like the first or the second tattoo. For them, it's like the event of the year, you know, or they prepare for like 6 months for this, and they come in with a very intense emotions, like they're scared, they're nervous, I remember my first tattoo. I was so scared, and I nearly passed out walking in the shop. I couldn't eat all morning, and and on the other hand, then you have an artist, and for him it's he's 9 to 5. Let's say like that. For him it's normal. He comes with a completely different level.
Just another day in the studio.
Exactly, and I think just being aware about that fact that it is completely different for people walking in them. For you as an artist, also makes you be able to take that leap to be more to make your customer feel more comfortable.
Exactly.
Because you don't have to be on the same level, but you have to understand on what level he is on, and then take him there and be like, hey, I know you're nervous. I felt the same thing when I did my first tattoo, but let's chill and talk about it, right?
I see it all the time. Like people coming to me doing their first tattoo, they're super nervous. Even some of them, they don't want to admit it. They're like, oh no, I'm not nervous, but then I'm fully stressed out. I'm like, it's completely fine. I like you said, I was the same when I did my first tattoo. It's completely normal, but it's all about like acknowledging their presence and their like how would you describe it? Like their feelings.
Yeah.
Like asking those questions to make them feel more comfortable. Because that's one thing that I've also gotten a lot of feedback on, like especially first-time clients, that they really felt that welcoming, like in the studio, in the whole experience. And I feel like that is such a huge thing, because then they're gonna come back and get another tattoo, and the third and the second, and like they're gonna how do you say?
Recommend it to others.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So just everything just ties in with the whole experience, like we were talking about. It's such a huge aspect.
Yeah, I think like marketing is the way to get in the clients, but the experience that they have with you is the way to get them to recommend you to others and also come back.
When you get a new tattoo, especially when you do your first tattoo, or whenever you do a new tattoo with a new artist, it's a big leap of trust that you have to give somebody that you don't know yet, right? So if I get tattooed by you and I don't know you yet, I trust you that you're capable of doing what I want to do and that you're capable of executing what you're showing on your social media. I'm gonna walk around it with the rest of my life. So this is a huge leap I have to take in trusting you. And I think marketing is the right way to build this kind of trust in advance.
Exactly.
So either through social media or through ads or through whatever, to build this trust, so people are like, okay, I think this guy or this girl I can trust with my idea, and that they take me the way I want to be taken at an appointment like that. And then you can't prove it without doing the tattoo at the end, right? So this is like proof for them at the end that they made the right decision. But
that's why I think it's always also so powerful to be more personal on your social media, because then they get to see you, and then if they see you many times and they see how you speak, they see how you talk, then the trust is already built up a little bit more from the beginning. It's like we spoke about on the dinner yesterday with Alex Hermosi, for example. Like you don't buy what he's selling from the ads. You buy what he is selling because of all the content you have seen with him. So if you would meet him, it would feel like you already know him. Just like it's the first time we meet in real life today, but we're speaking a little bit more on Google Meet and stuff like that as well. But you are more personal on your social media, so it feels like you already know you.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then that trust is already a little bit more established compared to someone that's only posting pictures of tattoos. And of course that is also important, but there has to be a little mix of both.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think that is a huge thing, because I've been doing more client testimonials and stuff like that, like interviewing with the clients and stuff like that, and people love it. Like all my clients are like, "Oh wow, you did the interview with your client. That was so cool to see their experience and talk about it and all that." And that is like a super good content idea to, like we talked about, build that trust quickly, because then they see who I am and how I speak and all that kind of stuff. So.
And this comes back to what we talked about before. It's a huge experience for clients. It's like it's the main event of the year for most people, right? So when they see how other people feel during or afterwards, they trust more to do it with you as well, or they feel more comfortable with coming to you as well.
Yeah. And I think a lot of tattooers take that for granted a little bit. It's just another day in the studio, but for the client, the event of the year. So it's really important to have that in the back of your mind, like, okay, this is a huge day for the client. Be that extra, be open, and be that service-minded. I think tattoo studios and tattooers overall are more stepping into that it's truly a service to the clients. It's not just about the tattoo, it's about the whole experience, the service.
Yeah. How do you handle bad days when it comes to this?
It's a really good question, because I feel like I'm just stepping into my mindset of just doing the job. And I feel like that has also helped me with bad days when I get to connect with the clients.
Now we got a bunch of dogs going on in here.
Because I thought about this actually the other day, like why I love tattooing so much. It's not so much about the tattooing aspect, like doing the tattoo. It's more of connecting with the clients and just getting to know them, have a chat, just hearing their funny stories and all that kind of stuff. Because tattooing is such an intimate thing. Like people open up so much when they're doing a tattoo, and
if you give the space, yes.
exactly, yeah.
And
if you,
this is when people come back as well.
exactly, yeah, because they love to just talk about funny stories or their life decisions or whatever it could be. And I feel like that is the by far the best part about being a tattoo artist, like being able to connect with clients and people overall from all around the world, just through the tattoo service, but then to connect over life in general. I feel like that is by far the best part about being a tattoo artist, and that truly outdoes the bad days. I feel like because as soon as you get to the studio, you talk to the client, you're like, oh wow, this is amazing.
So it's like even if you have a bad day, you can leave it at the door when you enter the studio and play the role, like or not play the role, get into your role as the artist. Okay, cool.
Definitely, yeah.
And I think that the competition, because everyone is always blaming that the competition is getting higher and stuff like that, but I think that's probably the best thing that can exist, because that is what forces people to get better.
Exactly, yeah.
Because if there is high competition, you get forced to improve, you get forced to like provide a better service, you get forced to become a better person in general, because if there is a lot of competition, you have to stand out on not only your tattoos, because that is like the standard right now, but you have to stand out on who you are as a person. So it's also a lot of development when it comes into that. And I think that it's not just in the tattoo industry where like you can benefit from the competition, but it's anywhere. Like it's what takes everything forward, because then you're forced to get better. You're forced to provide something better for the market. And I think that's something that's very powerful to have in mind as well.
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah. Nice. How do you experience, like, not just to ask about competition, do you feel like you have a very unique style in working? Do you feel like there's a lot of competition in a sense?
I like to think about it this way, that I don't have any competitors really. I feel like there's client for every tattoo artist. It's just about finding the right type of people, finding your crowd. And I feel like that ties into the social media branding and marketing, because it's all about just finding your niche, finding your lane, and then I feel like you're going to be alone in the path and find clients through that. So, but yeah, I feel like it's all about just finding the right type of clients. I feel like.
Yeah, I understand what you mean. I think competition is a good thing, as you said before. But there are so many, like you said, there are so many artists, so many studios, but there are so many clients as well.
Yeah,
and
exactly,
like they have different needs. So there is like for every need there is like an offer on the market, right? And what I see, people who struggle are mostly people who just copy something that is already existing and don't innovate. They're just trying to do the same thing as other people do without bringing in their own vibe. So they're never gonna be, or they never have the chance to be as good as the others.
Exactly. And then you're competing for the same client.
Exactly, then you're competing. But
yeah.
If you do something, when you bring in your own thing, whatever this own thing is, you're competing with yourself.
Exactly, yeah.
And then you just have to get, like, the only competition you have left is yourself to get better every day, right? And it feels more, I think it feels more natural to grow then.
Yeah, I feel that. But because nowadays there's so many different artists, people, new tattoo artists are popping up like every other day, I feel like. But it's, what can you bring to the table that is different, that is niche, or that can be more personalized? It's all about finding those sort of things to get more clients. And I feel like it's just about trying different things and see what works for you. Because I can imagine like running different types of studios, you don't have one formula. You have like, depending on the setting of the studio and all that kind of stuff, the artist, it can be so different, I can imagine.
Yeah, I think that was the biggest thing for me to learn. Like every artist is completely different. There's like no shoe fits all.
No.
This is the thing I love about working with creative people. Like you have to, or you can build a very special connection to everyone. And when you manage to build this connection to the people, like the same for you with your clients, it's for me with artists. Like when you manage to build this connection and to understand how they think and how they work, it's a very cool relationship that you can build. Yeah.
I can imagine. I can imagine it can be hard sometimes running a studio and
of course,
operating with,
of course, everything is ups and downs. Everything has its hard parts, but the good ones outweigh the hard ones by far. Exactly, so it was always worth it. I never like otherwise I would have been 15 years in the business.
Yeah, no.
So it's always something that really makes me happy. And I was very lucky. I worked with a few hundred artists so far, and I always work with, with a few exceptions, I always work with really, really good human beings. And I think this is important as well, that you're not just a good artist, but also a good human being.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What's your biggest takeaway from running all of these studios, would you say?
That's a good question. My biggest takeaway from running studios.
And managing so many different people and studios in so many different places.
Could be to be a good person.
I think it goes in this direction. I think my biggest takeaway is something like it's at the end it all comes down to who you are as a human and what vibe that you can create around. And for me, in this role as a studio, let's say studio manager, and it was always like my role was to set the stage. Like that was it. I never tried to force anything. It was always like I set the stage, I have some basic rules that apply in the studio, and then I set the stage where everybody, like my clients and my artists, can perform together. And my the way it worked the best for me was when I tried to make everything possible for the people around me. So I try to be an enabler, I try to be a catalyst for the people around me. And I think that's when I had the biggest successes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the thing for me. And maybe that it's just fun. It's like it's a real fun industry to work in. And if you take out the fun, it gets boring. But if you understand that like we are in this all together and we should not of course there is competition, as we talked before, also between studios and stuff like that, but at the end we all decided to work in an industry that is extremely creative and where you have very few rules compared to other industries, so we can more or less decide however we want to work. Of course we have to follow a few rules when it comes to the hygiene standards, we have to follow a few rules when it comes to what colors are you allowed to use and what needles are you allowed and how to. There are rules, but there are way less rules than in other industries, right? So I think a lot of people, they learn something once and then they stay with this for very long until it doesn't work anymore, and then they get not angry, but they get frustrated instead of that they understand that they can change anytime. If something doesn't work for you, if you don't like something, especially when you work in the tattoo industry, change it. It's that easy. It's like nobody tells you no. The only people or the only one who tells you can't change is yourself.
Exactly.
Right. So I think this is one of my biggest takeaways.
Yeah. And what are yours so far? Like now you've been tattooing for 5 years, traveling around, learning from a lot of people and learning from doing and stuff like that. Like, what's your biggest takeaway of what has worked the best for you?
Just connecting with people, clients, studio managers, different guest spots, all that type of stuff. Just about being an open and curious person about people's life. I feel like that is such a huge aspect of tattooing, connecting with people, because you can gain so much experience from that, and you can also get really deep connections with people, especially when you do tattoos of clients and that type of stuff. So definitely just being open and curious about people in general. I feel like that's the best way to push yourself and to just become a better person and artist overall. So
Nice. I wonder, you said before the craziest experience was the one in Hamburg. I guess it was at Hood 7, right? Like to see how people, how much time they put in
Yeah,
tattooing.
yeah.
What was the worst experience you had in guest spotting?
I won't say any names, but no, I had this one studio, and it was so. But it was. I had this one studio that I went to. I won't say any names or anything like that, but it was so cold. Like there, it was so uncommon for people to greet each other. I was like, "Oh, hi, I'm Ted, and who are you?" They're like, what? They're like, "Who are you?" And I was like, "What?" That's like half the thing. Like doing guest spots, you get to meet new people and all that kind of stuff. But they were like so in their own zone and tunnel vision, and it was so uncommon there to like people to talk to each other. I was like, what? It's so weird. And it was so cold, and no, I didn't like that vibe at all. And I was like, wow, like you're truly losing so much potential with this studio, because it was a big studio, but they were losing so much potential there. And yeah, that was probably one of the more bad experiences I had.
I understand.
But yeah, but it's such a huge aspect of just meeting new people and getting to know different artists and studios. But
crazy.
It's cool. It's a service business.
Yeah. That's also a thing with tattooing. It's such a new industry. I don't think a lot of people think about that. It's only been around for 20, like 30, 40 years, like professionally, like in studios in that type of way. So it's still like it's a fairly new industry. So there's always ways to optimize and that type of thing.
You have seen a few studios now, right?
Yeah.
Do you see some points that these studios have in common when you go to studios? Well, like where the studios where you say, okay, I like to be there. Like, what do they have what do they have in common?
High service level of like providing everything, so you don't have to think about anything. Like you have your station, you have all your stuff. If you need anything, you go ask for it. Stuff like that. Just being that service minded. That's one of the common things I've seen. That's because when you go to a new place, it's always stressful. Like it's a new environment, new people, all that type of stuff. Especially for artists, we can be very set in our ways. Like we want to do a specific thing or a ritual before we do a tattoo or anything like that. But I feel like just having that service of they provide everything for you. So you just go in, you have your stuff, you know where you have your studio station, and your client comes in. They take care of the client and all that stuff. It just makes it so much easier for an artist to go to the studio and just have everything provided for them. Like that is one common thing that I've seen with some studios that is like the best.
Okay, so it's the service that they provide to you as an artist.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
Understand. So do you prefer to go, like, do you have experience with private studios and street shops, or like have it all been public studios you've been so far?
I feel like most of them has been private studios.
Yeah.
So bookings only, and that type of more of not as public or in walk-in areas. So more private studios. I think I prefer that more, that more calm sense in the studio. I feel like I prefer that way more.
Okay. Yeah, you've been to a few. You've been to Italy as well.
Yeah, Italy, Germany, Netherlands, and I have so many more places that I want to go to. But yeah.
Cool.
That's also interesting for like now that you've been working with so many artists, because you asked like what's are like the best traits of the studios, but what would you say is the most common trait amongst the most highest achieving artists that you have been working with?
I think it's the same thing. Like the best artists I've worked together with, they are service oriented, or they understand that it's important how people feel around them and what they expect from the studio. They also create for their clients, so that their clients come and they just have everything that they need. They don't have to ask any questions. They just all the questions that a client could ask are already answered in advance. So they take them, they're like, hey, let's have a seat, look, this is how the day is gonna go, if you have any ideas, blah, blah. Just guide people through it. And I think this is very, very, very important. Apart from how you make them feel during tattooing, but like everything in advance, like starts with the first communication with mail or phone or however the first contact is before they come to the studio, in the studio afterwards. I think this is important. And for me, while working with artists, like my biggest achievement was always when I had an artist that was in the studio with me, and when he left, he was like, yeah, that was like holidays for me. Like when they say this was like for me.
Exactly.
Achieved what I wanted to achieve.
Right
It's like I would love to come back because it's just like I was working, but it was like holidays.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's not something that I want to experience as well. Like as a traveling artist, you have everything provided for you, and like you said, you don't need to ask any questions because everything is just set for you. It's like, oh, nice. You don't have to think too much, you know. So, but I like that as well. Just with the starting email, you set the tone for the whole experience. I think that's also really, really important as well.
For sure. Oh, that's very good. Is there more things we should add in, or should we wrap it up?
I think we can wrap it up.
Wrap it up. Yeah.
It was a very good talk.
Yeah,
It's a pleasure hearing you both talk about your experiences and everything like that. So it's super fun, and I hope it was valuable for everyone that was listening as well. Is there anything more you guys would like to add in to any of these things?
I think just as an artist, just going through the program, going through all the modules and all that kind of stuff, you have so much to gain from that. Just the whole service studio experience. There's so much you can add into that you can do just by going through the program module. You can adjust it that day, you know, stuff like that with the first tone with the email and how you treat your clients and all that kind of stuff. Everything just ties into a better experience. So yeah, you have so much value to gain from that.
I think the summary from the talk today is just be a good person. Honestly.
That's step number one.
Be a good person. Take care about the persons around you, the people around you.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
I think we should end with that and wrap it up.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Sounds good. Thank you so
very
much,
much.
guys, for watching.
Thank you.
Take care.